G'day guys, welcome back to the Rugby League Guru podcast. One of the best days on the Rugby League calendar. The draw has officially been released. I'll be honest with you, you guys know I am the nerdiest MF you can find around when it comes to rugby league and whatnot. But even me, I'm starting to just find all the memes and all the videos and everything more entertaining than anything else. It's been an unreal day. We're going to sink our fangs into all of it. Today's episode brought to you by Neds. Jump on to the Neds app, follow along with the Guru profile. A couple of bets coming in the off-season, bit of NFL stuff floating around, a couple of smoky picks heading into next season for the NRL and whatnot. Neds have been big supporters of us in 2024, so make sure you jump on and support them there. Catmandu, we're going to get into all of the Instagram stuff, which could take 3 hours because the level of content has just been absolutely off its head today. It's been fantastic. We'll get to that very soon, but I thought before we do start, we would just talk about Fox League has released a strength of schedule as far as the easiest to the hardest draws. Now, I've seen a lot of the comments and I've spoken to South fans, and I might have one sitting opposite me who they've obviously got the hardest draw apparently. A lot of South fans not happy and everything. Look, I get it. I understand it. But someone's got to have it. It's got to happen to someone. It is what it is. You also have no idea how all the teams are going to perform this season realistically. And I personally think the Rabbitohs are going to have a very good year. I'm still backing them for a top 4 finish despite this draw. But once again, guys, we don't know, especially these bottom 8 teams. We have got no idea whatsoever what a few of these sides are going to look like. There's a few of the top 8 teams like the Cowboys, the Bulldogs. We're not really quite sure exactly what we're going to get. So, yeah, I wouldn't read too far into that, but we will go through the teams at the top. So the teams that apparently have the best strength of schedule, this is according to Fox League. Number 1, the Canberra Raiders. Number 2, the Manly Seagulls. Number 3, the Newcastle Knights. Number 4, the New Zealand Warriors. Number 5, the North Queensland Cowboys. Now, none of those teams I actually have in premiership contention for me. But number 6, I do, the Melbourne Storm. So they're in the top 6 best draws according to Fox League. The bottom one, so the worst draw according to Fox League, the Rabbitohs. The second worst, the Brisbane Broncos with the new coach arriving. The Titans, after having a round 1 bye, which as you guys know, I feel passionately about this. They also get a tough draw. And then the Dragons in 14th, Dolphins in 13th. So the Panthers are around about the middle range. The West Tigers, they are the absolute middle there. Kat, talk to me as a South fan. How much do you look into that sort of stuff when you see it there?
Well, I don't, because I don't pay attention to that stuff because it's based off of previous performance. We're looking at a very different side. And maybe I am putting a lot of pressure on Rabbitohs to completely turn themselves around in a matter of months. But with Wayne Bennett on deck, Latrell Mitchell in better shape, Jairo returning at some point, there's a lot of elements to this side that makes them very different to 2024. And if we're judging based off of 2024 performances, then that would be very fair to put it like this, because they also were second from the bottom by the end of the season. So I think there's a lot of factors there to take into consideration, but I also think there's a lot of changes to come. So I take everything with a grain of salt. Yeah,
and a lot of changes come with other teams too. You don't realistically know what sides are going to look like. So I don't look too far into this sort of stuff, but I did think it was worth mentioning off the top. Other things that I think are important, which is actually one that I think really does favour South Sydney, and as much as it seemingly is a harder draw, the big advantage the Bunnies can take out of this is that they have a bye at the back end of the season. Now, as I said, I think the Bunnies are going to be competing for a premiership this year. I think they'll be a top 4 side. So I always look at it and go, okay, if you can have a bye in the last 5 weeks or so, I think that's a huge advantage. The teams that have a bye, round 23, the West Tigers, round 24, the Canberra Raiders, round 25, the Sharkies, absolutely golden for them. They are genuinely looking at trying to win a premiership this year. The Sharkies, round 26, the South Sydney Rabbitohs, who I think are in the same boat, and round 27 is the North Queensland Cowboys, a bit of a lottery team this year. I think big winners as far as buys goes, the Rabbitohs and the Sharkies. To get buys that late in the season where you can, and I think the beauty of it, Kat, is that you have then, obviously a week off, but it's sort of like you can break your season up a little bit. They can have a week where they're with family, they're having a little bit of time away, and you say, okay, well, when we get back, we've got a 6-week lock in here. And I really like to have that bye at the back end of the season. You see a lot of teams obviously rest players at the back end of the season. I just think having the bye just takes a lot of pressure off at that part of the season. I would be, as much as it sucks for South that you have got a tough draw apparently, I think the reality of it is, guys, the Raiders, they've apparently got the easiest draw. An easy draw doesn't exist in the NRL. It's non-fucking existent. Anyone can beat anyone on any day. If you're 5% off against anyone, you will get dusted. That is the reality of the NRL. For me, if I'm a South fan, if I'm a Sharkies fan, I take a lot out of having that bye at the back end of the season. I think that's absolutely gold. Kathmandu, should we get stuck into the stuff that matters today? Some of the social media highlights that we've seen.
Yes, let's do it.
It's one of the hottest fields I've ever seen. I'm not quite sure, Kat. I don't watch too many other sports other than NRL and NFL, but I know in the NFL this is a big thing every year that they really have a red hot crack out. They spend a lot of money on, and it's tremendous. Is it the same in soccer and stuff?
No, I think this is definitely a page that they've taken out of NFL's book. Okay. I think it's a similar approach.
Yeah,
definitely. You have a bit of fun with the Premier League and whatnot, but it's not entertaining. At least what I've noticed is they don't kind of put this much effort into taking these different perspectives and stuff. They're just so entertaining, and what I really like is how different they all are.
Yeah, it's unreal. The creativity that's gone into these has been unreal. We'll go one off the top. The Canberra Raiders, they reached out to a lot of social media personalities and whatnot, got them involved. I'm in it. Hammy's in one. Roasty's in one. Tom and Eddie are in it. The great Buzz Rothfield, I don't know if you call him a social media personality, but Buzz is in there. I think they've done really, really well, the Canberra Raiders. I like that approach. No one's really done that before, something a little bit new. But honestly, Kat, as I'm looking through them, a lot of these are things that I haven't really seen before.
No, I mean, off the bat, I love that. Initially, I thought Manly's was just incredible. The WWE wrestling approach. It's Daly Cherry Evans in the ring against all these different characters. But the Knights also took that gaming route as well. And I just think it's so creative. It's so smart. And it looks so good.
The Manly one's probably taken it for me. I really like that. Watching Ches in the ring and whatnot. I think that's great. And the different players coming into the ring and whatnot. I really like that. The Knights one's a very good shout. I think Dolphins and Bunnies took a pretty similar approach.
Yeah, I think using the characters in and around the game and the people that you associate with the teams and having a bit of fun with that and almost letting it write itself in that sense.
Yeah, for sure. And I think the other thing that people need to keep in mind, like I think when you have a look at them, I think it's only the Dragons that I've seen anyway that have used current players. So all the players, they're obviously off at the moment and whatnot. And I can guarantee you, the NRL teams found out about what their draw was going to be in the last 48 hours or so. So it has been, they've done really well to put this content together. Yeah. It's a really good nudge. So if you're wondering, there's not many players in them and whatnot, there's a reason for it.
Like they can come up with a concept, but you can't actually fulfill it until you have the draw.
100%. Yeah, exactly right. So even like that Canberra Raiders one, when they reached out to me, it was we want you to do the Sharkies one and talk about a CBA, but we don't know yet which game it's going to be or whatever. So you have to, be careful with your terminology and all that sort of stuff. So the clubs have done really, really well here to pull this all together with a very short turnaround. They've absolutely nailed it. As I said, the Manly Seagulls one was probably my favourite, but there's been some crackers. Which other ones for you, Kat, really stood out?
Well, I'm a big memes person, so I love that the Waz just use memes for each team. I think that's absolutely gold. And I also really liked the Melbourne Storm one for its creativity too. So it's like dating app style. And I think the way they summarized each team, for example, Josh Adokar, former player for the Melbourne Storm, he's like, currently like it's like dating your ex when you play against Fox. Like I thought that was really creative and it's relevant. I mean, that's the thing these days. I thought that was really, really fun. And no one did one like that either. They really like found a unique concept and ran with it. What about you?
I think the Cowboys took a somewhat similar approach with memes and whatnot. Anything with Alf Stewart will always get me.
They stuck to like one theme with the memes, which is so good as well.
I also really liked the Dragons one. Yeah. And they got a few players involved. And how would you explain what they did? What is that?
They used there's a name for that game that it has completely gone over my head. I've forgotten. But where you have images and you have to guess what the name is. It's like all the syllables are broken down into images. And so they had to guess the player name and then that would tell them the team.
Yeah.
So some of them were like competing with each other, others were working together. But that was hilarious actually.
That was a good
and a simple concept, but it works.
Yeah. Now, you'll have to forgive me and I hope you can explain more than what I can, Kat. The Roosters one, the Bosch thing. Do you know who I've had people message me about him before and stuff like that. But I actually enjoy that sort of content where they get a celebrity in and they just show them the logo and they've got to guess the name of the team and whatnot. I love that he looked at the Melbourne Storm and he goes, oh, that team could be anything. So the Roosters put up the Storm logo with could be anything as their logo. I thought that's fucking hectic. I love that.
That's mad.
But he had some other ones like the Raiders as the Vikings and just a few other things. I enjoyed that content.
Yeah.
I think any content cat that grabs you that you watch from the start to finish, you've done very well there.
I agree. So, I mean, the Bosch guy is just like a viral character. Yeah. So similar to using memes, they've just used the meme in the form of one guy.
Yes,
who is obviously known around the world for saying Bosch and his like food reviews and stuff. But I think using him is really funny. It looks like they just sat him down and said, just react and say what you think it is. And they made like it wrote itself once again.
Did you see the Titans one? Now, this is once again, I'm not big in the memes world and whatnot. I've seen this over the last few days.
I actually haven't seen the Titans one yet.
So the Titans one was everyone else. So it's when you see the other clubs dropping their draw release videos, but you're just a chill guy enjoying your day, and it's got, I don't know where the dog's from, but I've seen it on.
No, that's funny.
Which I thought was good.
I'm
very
look
creative.
it up right now.
So yeah, shout out to all the NRL clubs having a red hot crack. I thoroughly enjoyed all of them today. I think got a feeling we probably won't get a stack of work done today just quietly, Kathmandu. I think we'll be on the lounge taking all these in for a second time just quietly. I would also just like to give a little shout out to the NRL because I was actually just having a look in a group chat that someone put up. One of the boys in my group put it up, and I think it is fucking fantastic. So previously, looking at the draw and everything on the NRL app has been a little bit of a pain in the ass. You sort of had to go to, you could either like file by team, but it was a little bit clunky. The way they've changed it this year, they've got a draw hub, so draw-hub.nrl.com. And what you can do is you can actually go through the club analyzer. So it's got each team that you can go through. You pick your team, Cowboys there, for example. It goes through every single game, home, away, where it is, where you can watch it. But then it's also got like their record against that team over the last few years and all that sort of stuff. I think it's really, really good. And they've got it for the NRLW as well. You've got the summary for each team, which gives you like your turnaround summary, your travel summary, the distance traveled throughout the year and all that sort of stuff. The teams that you play twice, the amount of Thursday games, Friday games, Saturday games, night games, like just got absolutely everything you could want. And these are the sort of stats that, or maybe not stats, but the sort of things that I love to see. And from a Supercoach point of view and all that sort of stuff, as a fan, I will be looking at all those inside out today. I think that's fantastic. So shout out to the Draw Hub. Make sure you go check that out, guys. I think it is tremendous. The other big thing that we will talk about very, very quickly is obviously those draws at the back end of the season. We'll talk about it later, but from a Supercoach point of view, especially from a draft point of view for a lot of you that listen, obviously major players on buys, including Latrell Mitchell, Cody Walker, Scotty Drinkwater, some very, very big fish there. So something for you to take into consideration. Also taking in the draw analysis and what you see as good matchups and whatnot. A lot to look at over the next few months and weeks heading into the start of the season. But that is your 2025 draw. From the first 5 or 6 weeks, Kat, there was 2 games that really stood out to me. The first one, Storm v Panthers, grand final replay. That's in round 3. It's on Thursday night. That one will be an absolute cracker. It's down there at Amy Park. The Melbourne Storm also, they come off a bye, so they've got 2 weeks to prepare for the Penrith Panthers. We know traditionally the Panthers start a little bit slow to kick off seasons over the last few years. So that'll be a huge one. That'll be a very even clash. Keen to see how that one goes. The Panthers still getting used to life without Fisher Harris, without Jerome Luai. Round 3, grand final replay, Storm off a bye. That'll be unreal. And then round 5, 2 weeks later, Friday night out there at Accor Stadium. I believe this is the Rabbitohs' first home game of the season too. I think you've got a few on the road to start the season.
I think that's what makes the draw so hard is how long it takes for us to have a home game.
I feel like that happened to you last year or the year before too.
Yeah.
It sounds familiar.
Well, because I typically go to home games and it did take quite a few weeks to get to a game.
In the NRL's defence, I actually read this morning, there's something on at Accor Stadium for the first 2 or 3 weeks. There's some racing thing or something on, which means they can't use it.
Yeah.
So you might be at Allianz in the first few weeks, I'm not too sure. But there is something wrong with your home ground in the first 2 weeks, which obviously is going to impact a few clubs as well. But Rabbitohs taking on the Roosters in round 5 Friday night. That one's going to be out there at Accor Stadium, so the oldest rivalry in rugby league. Always an absolute cracker, Cat.
Those were actually the first games I ever went to. So those are the ones that really sold me on rugby league. It was the first 2 games I went to were against Roosters and against Bulldogs.
Yeah, right. Okay.
And
Big games.
it was those experiences that like really got me into rugby league. So not only is it a historic rival, it's one that for me is kind of like foundational. It really got me into the game. So I always look forward to them.
Oh, also, Kat, I've just noticed. So you go 3 away games. You don't leave. Oh, no. So you go Suncorp, Wynn Stadium, Wollongong. Then you're at Shark Park. Then you got Penrith at home, Roosters at home. Round 6, Optus Stadium in Perth against the Cowboys.
Might have to go to Perth.
Yeah, we might have to, just quietly. I don't mind that. Then you return and take on the Doggies at Accor Stadium, their home game, though. So interesting. All right, guys. Thank you for joining us once again here on the Rugby League Guru podcast, our live reaction to the draw, some games we're looking forward to, our thoughts on the schedule and the difficulty of it and all that, but more importantly, just the social media content that has come out today. If your club's gone to the effort to make something good, which I'm pretty sure they all have, make sure you give it a share. They put a lot of time and effort into these things, a lot of money into these things as well. They're having a red hot crack. They're not trying to be boring. They could have quite easily just put out a template of who's playing who like we used to and hunky-dory move on. But they've all gone to a lot of effort. So make sure you chuck them on your Instagram stories, share them around, leave a comment for the creators there and whatnot. A very, very good knock by a number of clubs. Today's episode, guys, brought to you by Neds. Make sure you jump onto the app, follow along with all my bets during the rest of the NFL season, everything going on there. Gamble responsibly as always, and we'll see you next time on the Rugby League Guru Podcast.
Chances are you're about to lose. For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.